Roddick to serve. Ready? Play.
First set, just about ready to start. Roddick to serve.
Love 15.
Jimmy Connors has made the trip out here to Australia now, arrived a couple of days ago, in time to see Roddick win his last match, which was a pretty impressive performance.
We saw it all in that rally. We saw some good defence, offence. We saw Roddick totally mistime an initial volley. And ultimately, as we've seen so many times before, finishing the point with that big forehand. Big shoulder rotation, tough to read.
13-15.
Battle of the servers today, this one. I mentioned Connors came out. He was late arriving here. The unfortunate death of his mother, Gloria, who was so supportive and helped so much when he was at the top of the tree. So Roddick with the head-to-head we mentioned as 4-zip, and Jeff talked about the two events they played as juniors. He's got to be rather confident when he goes on court against the tall Croatian when he wins the opening game of the match.
First game.
Yes, when you've beaten your opponent consistently, 4-0 as you mentioned at the head-to-head to Roddick, but the matches primarily were a little while ago when Ancic was still on the way up. The last time they played was 2005. That was at Lyon on carpet in quarterfinals. Roddick won that 4-4. So Ancic, he's a little better now. He's more mature. His game's still evolving. So this may be an opportunity for him to really show his wares here today.
Lots of Croatian support for this young man out here. Just checking the sun. That's the worst end around about this time of day. A tough end to serve from. He looked directly into the sun, and there it is there. No better example. He's going to have to adjust that ball toss, and a few folks in the crowd laughing. They don't obviously realise that to look up into a bright sun and try and strike a tennis ball is pretty difficult. You can see there he's still trying to adjust the ball toss.
Players haven't seen too much sun this week, Fred, have they? We had the heat rule one day when it was hot and sunny, but it was such that the roof was closed for the matches that did take part, and since then we've had a lot of cloudy days, showery days, so this is sort of foreign territory.
Fair bit of rain with the roof closed the last couple of days. That's the serve that he will rely on, or needs to have it working.
Yeah, likes this slider, hits the ball from right to left. His toss allows him to do that. He tosses the ball fair way to the right.
Roddick's last match was against Marat Safin. As we watch this replay from the ground, as I said, Ancic can stay with Roddick from the back of the court. grew up on the clay courts of Europe. But by beating Safin, that was Roddick's 300th victory on a clay court. I mean on a hard court. 300 matches won on hard courts. It's a lot of tennis.
It's a good approach from Roddick, and while it didn't look spectacular, you might be asking why was it good. It was very much up the centre of the court. Now that makes it difficult for Ancic to find some angles with which to pass. Smart play.
Game, Roddick.
Very good start for the American there. As Connors
Roddick leads.
with the glasses on, the sunglasses there without the cap. And the great champion he was.
He was sort of the equivalent in his era, competitive-wise, as Hewitt is today. One of the world's great competitors was Jimmy Connors.
Roddick is looking to do a little bit better than last year. He lost here in the round of 16 last year to, he was the number 2 seed then, to Marcus Baghdatis.
Well, having secured the break, Roddick's not about to play a loose game here. He's come out of the blocks firing. And he too has a good wide serve to the forehand on the first court. Really can break the ball away. Look at this curl away. It's unplayable.
Great serving exhibition from Roddick so far in this match. He leads 3-love.
3 games to love.
For Ancic here to get on the board. This is a better serving end for him, so he doesn't have to make those adjustments. And when you do that, the sun didn't appear to upset Roddick in the opening game, but you make those adjustments and you just don't have the same rhythm. So it's a different rhythm on the serve from the other end of the court. So see how he goes here. Rather windy conditions out here. They're playing obviously a stack of matches today to try and catch up with the program on the outside courts. Rather breezy, but not so here in Rod Laver Arena.
Takes a big wind up in that forehand, as you can see, but timing's good. Racket head speed is plentiful. Good first volley there from Ancic, and he closed right on top of the net. Roddick needs to be aware of that. Comes in here. Now watch him keep going, keep going. Look, he's right on top of the net, so very vulnerable to the lob. They're the sorts of things, if you've missed a pass, you've got to look around and have some awareness for the future. Roddick maybe will store that in the memory bank.
Measured that well. Good footwork, good preparation. Racket back early before the ball bounced. picked his spot, and look at this, racket back, moves in little steps to get ready, and then hammers it for a winner.
Game Mancic.
Mancic a lot happier. So is the
Roddick leads 3-1.
Mancic followers. He's on the board at 3-1. And this is the difficult end. We'll see if we can pick up any problems with Roddick here with the sun. Although the sun now has just gone behind a cloud. The smart play, the top players know that Roddick is not comfortable at the net, and this is where Connors has tried to make him go in and be a little more aggressive. But make him volley. Don't try and hit great passing shots if they're not on. Just make the man volley. Most times then you're going to have another look at a passing shot.
Well, that's an example of what you were talking about, Fred, but on that occasion, Roddick came up with a very good half volley. Mancic, quite wisely, just not trying to do a lot, saying, well, come on, let's see what you've got. And he had some sort of play on the second shot, but good half volley from the American. You've got to be prepared to get past if you come to the net, but equally you've got to be very careful where you approach. That wasn't good enough from Roddick. It was short, it was in the hitting zone, it wasn't wide, and good players, when given the target as easy as that, they'll make it most times.
I think it's a learning process with Roddick in that department, isn't it? We mentioned the other day against Safin when he went in. This is a brilliant point here. Catches him unawares and then lines up for the big forehand. He's got to do a little bit more with the approach shots rather than, as you mentioned, down the middle of the court. Even that one there. Mancic had a shot at, but pressure as Connors and John Roddick and his brother look on. Roddick leads 4-1 first set.
Time.
As I mentioned, a lot of Croatian tennis fans here in Victoria, in Melbourne, and the clouds that Jeff was just talking about. So if they stay that way, the sun will not be a problem. But the Croatian fans all out here in strength, as they have been for a number of years now, supporting their players, even the time of Ivan Izovic, Goran Ivanisevic, who is now the Davis Cup captain for Croatia.
relatively difficult shot look easy there, Ancic. That high backhand volley, the hardest shot in tennis, particularly for a one-hander to get any power off that. Got good power and even better angle.
Ancic in 2005 helped Croatia, along with Ljubicic, win the Davis Cup title for the first time, and Ivanisevic was captain of that team.
Certainly not afraid, Ancic, to go toe-to-toe with Roddick on the forehand side. Made Roddick change direction.
Game, Ancic.
No problem with the sun there. Ancic whole serve. It's only just that one service break which was achieved. And, the sun did bother Ancic, but also he's had some trouble from Roddick.
Oh, terrific shot from Ancic. Roddick's approach was spot on. Look at the depth of this approach. Ancic pushed deep behind the baseline. As Fred has mentioned before, he doesn't want to try and go for a winner, and he doesn't. He wants to make Roddick have a tough shot, and it was just too good for him. It's a good point, though. Roddick thundering down those serves. 219 kilometres an hour. Ancic, such a big reach, though. He's getting them back into play, getting in the point. And Roddick having to come up with a pretty handy volley there. Top quality tennis. Coach Connors approving Ancic with a different strategy. Attacking the second serve, coming in. Good lunge volley. Excellent tennis.
It's the racket head speed with those whip forehands which guys play today.
14-13.
Well, you won't want to look up Connors after playing that shot. Would not be too happy. Bad choice there, but 40-30. Both players serving exceptionally well for big men. And he had a few service games, but Roddick is at 75% of first serves. Ancic 67%.
Game, Roddick.
Well, Roddick with a come on there, and he goes ahead 5-2 in the opening set.
Roddick leads 5 games.
Test it is. University of Texas there, the Longhorns, and the state of Texas flag there with the star and the blue. That's for Andy Roddick, who lives in Austin, Texas. Austin being the capital of the state of Texas.
Constructing his points well. Ancic gets down nice and low for this volley, closes in.
nicely done.
30-11.
Ancic has a sister that plays on the tour as well, Sanya. She played with him as a team representing Croatia in Hopman Cup over in Perth a couple of weeks ago. She's only a youngster, didn't qualify for the event here.
Gael Mancic. Roddick leads 5-3.
Well, no nonsense this, because it's only taken 24 minutes, but they're very quick between points, and it's not a really hot day today, so they just get on with the job. And Roddick now serving for the opening set.
Kick serve from Roddick gets up high, but against Ancic, who's so tall, that won't be as much of an issue for him as it is for many players of more average height.
Roddick's 6th appearance down here at the Australian Open. First came down here in 2002.
Just on that approach, sometimes Roddick guilty of not bending enough. If you're going to hit a slice approach, you've really got to get down to the same level as the ball. We might catch here Roddick upright, so he hits down high to low, and that's what's going to cause him to find the net.
With Ancic here in this game is to try and block the Roddick serve back, knowing full well that Roddick's not going to serve and volley. Once he gets into the rallies, he'll back himself to win more points than Roddick. So we're at 30 all. Huge first serve from Roddick takes him to set point.
First set, Roddick.
A very quick set.
6-3.
And his coaches and Connors and agents are all pretty happy with that one. It only took 27 minutes. It's 6-3. Ancic to start off set number 2. I just like that play, and it's something that he has just decided that he is going to try and get into his repertoire. It was not a great approach, but it puts pressure on Ancic right at the start of this second set. Both lads very tall, so they blanket the net when they get in there.
Oh, it's good.
Low 30.
Full stretch. If you just get racket on balls sometimes, you make your own luck. You could see the importance both players put on that point. At love 30, Ancic couldn't afford to take too much of a risk. Roddick was determined not to give him a free point. He was consistent from the back of the court, Roddick. Finally in comes Ancic. Net cord not working in Ancic's favour, so good effort from Roddick. Love 40.
Snap of the wrist again. That's brilliant. 3 break points now. Same start as in set number 1.
15.
Get out of it. Ancic's second ace. Pretty gusty down there on the court. It swirls around in a stadium like this, in a bowl type situation. That's a nice volley. Tough one. He had to keep it short. He had to get the angle, because if it got back without much on it very deep. Here it is again. Gets a good angle, so Roddick has to really move down low to that one. He bends the knees well for a tall man. Still down a break point, 30-40.
Yeah, that's a quality second serve. That's when you really have to stand up. 30-40, second serve. You've got to have the courage and the confidence, not just to get the serve in, but to get it in with depth and bite. Excellent effort. See how important Roddick feels this game is. He wanted to get an early break, but Ancic has fought back very well.
Yes, well played point. That was a change-up serve, a kick serve. It got the short reply on the open court for the forehand. So well done, Mario Ancic. Down to love 40 in that game, and he comes back to win it.
It was an excellent game. We spoke about the second serve. He had to hit it 30-40. He equally hit a very good low backhand volley, you'll recall, at 15-40. And as Fred mentioned, the good change up there when he had a game point, the kick serve wide. So thinking his way through that game. Got a real contest on our hands here.
Love 15.
Roddick's got a few things to prove now that he's got Roddick on corners as his coach. He's slipped down the rankings to about number 6, and he's the second-ranked American now behind James Blake, former number 1 in the world, Roddick. 2003, November of 2003.
Second service.
Hey, wait, I haven't even started my serve yet.
$59.
Finish one bounce.
Such a weapon. He gets so many free points from the serve. Either an ace or unplayable.
Well, that's terrific depth from both players, actually. Fine rally.
14-50. Roddick.
Well, Roddick wasn't in the right spot to make a volley again, but 40-15 took the advantage and said, well, I'll go to the net. Ancic had plenty of room for that passing shot. Roddick holds, it's 1-all.
Interesting choice from Ancic. Drop shots on this surface in men's tennis very rarely successful. Guys move too quick and the ball bounces very high on this surface. You'd have to have his opponent really deep behind the baseline, Ancic, for that tactic to work.
Well, it's the serve that's setting all these shots up.
14-50.
Ancic mixing the serve up. That was a change up again, a kicker where the ball bounces. So he has full control of the point from there. and good net coverage. Both tall men are going to have get it pretty close to the line to get past them. So 2-1 now. Ancic, but he's down a set. Record crowds would be attendance this weekend here at Melbourne Park. Ancic 2 games to 1, and this is the first time the spectators are allowed in after the first game. They're not allowed to come and take their seats. First changeover, so it takes a while for them to settle down. Sandra DeJenkin is just asking them to settle in as quickly as possible.
Good effort to get racket on the ball there, though, from Ancic. It was a terrific serve. For a big man, he's mobile, very agile.
30-11.
An example of his mobility.
14-15.
Pretty impressive shot, this one, from way behind. Look how far behind. 3 metres behind the baseline, and he hits a cold winner. Again, you hear Ancic say make it, but just too much firepower on that one once more. 216 kilometres an hour right down the middle. Roddick's first serve average is 207. Tool.
Ancic's first serve average 191 kilometres an hour, so 15 kilometres an hour slower on average, but still good enough to set up many points for him. Difficult for Roddick to be too aggressive off the returns. One of the rare volleying misses Volleys well, Ancic, particularly the backhand volley, gets it in front, stays low.
Both players feel the same thing, get it back into play, but they're coming down pretty fast. That one looks up to Connors and his brother, trying to get the racket on ball.
Game Ancic.
Not able to do that one, 200k that one, and Ancic stays in front in the second set, 3-2.
3 games to 2.
Remarkably so as far as winners. There they are. Ancic 16, Roddick 15.
And the players, thank you.
And the unforced errors fewer for Ancic than Roddick, but a very clean match when you've got that difference between unforced errors and winners. It's good stuff.
Oh! 15 now. Oh! 13.
Roddick putting in a change up then as well, a kicking serve, 156 kilometres an hour. It's getting a little windy.
There's too much pace on this one. Once more, wrong footing, Ancic. My exact point. That was technically a pretty good volley, but look where it goes down the, not too much of an angle on it, and it allows Ancic to set himself. So good play from Roddick, and happy to see that he's going to do that, because if he's to get through here and play somewhere like Federer, that becomes a very important part of his strategy.
Oh, yes. Terrific pass from Ancic. Roddick's approach was very good. Look at this slice approach. Right into the corner, deep.
Well, he didn't do enough with it. He'd have to punch it deep or play a lot better drop volley than this one. This one just sits up again. As you mentioned, if you play drop shots in this, they're going to be played. There it is. He takes it back far too high. Look where this ball bounces, nearly on the service line. Easy pass. An opportunity missed there by Ancic. You don't get many of them.
Goose. advantage. Roddick.
Well, the play from Roddick, using the forehand as the weapon. Just good controlled aggression. Wasn't hitting too close to the lines, just enough to keep Ancic at full stretch.
Tried to create a little angle there in mid-rally towards the end of there. Just missed it wide, Ancic. So a good hold there from Roddick at 3-all.
Doing well from the back of the court, Fred, isn't he, Roddick? He's matching it with Ancic. We thought that if the rallies